Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
What's going on YouTube? Diggy546. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you're new. Like the video if you like the video. And I won't tell if you click that bell. But let's go ahead and get into this. So there's been a lot of, going back and forth, talking heads, yelling back and forth at each other about who's going to win the NFC East. And it's pretty much a big joke. All these teams in the NFC East, I'd say the Giants are playing the best football, at least the last, 3 or 4 weeks. But at the end of the day, all of these teams have already lost 7 games. They should not be going to the playoffs. You should not be going to the playoffs if you're all 2-3. The Eagles lost 5 games, but they're just not playing good football. This division is not playing good football. That being said, somebody has got to win it. Somebody has got to win it. You look at the schedules for all of these teams. Washington still has the Steelers on their schedule. They don't really look like. If Washington were playing better, I'd say that they have a shot in some of these games. As I pull up their schedule, I'm looking down. And like I said, they got the Steelers. They got the Cowboys left. That might be a game they can win. They blew them out before. They got the Bengals. Who knows what they'll do there? They got that defensive line against Joe Burrow. They've got the 49ers, who we don't know what team is going to show up. And then they've got the Seahawks and the Panthers, and I don't see them winning those games, and I don't see them beating Philadelphia. So they are a dark horse to win this division because they definitely have some games that I wouldn't be shocked if they won. Bengals, Cowboys, Eagles. Maybe they can squeeze out a win against the Panthers. Maybe they can squeeze out a win against the 49ers, get to 6 or 7 games. I'm not sure. So those are the dark horse guys. Alex Smith has been playing better and better. They should have won their game against the Lions. They had a great chance at winning against the Giants the week before. But all these games are finished. They're where they are. They're at 2-7, so they're a game back behind the Giants and the Eagles. And they've got to make it up, and they've got to deal with tiebreakers. If they get to 6 wins and the Giants are at 6 wins, they lose. If they get to 6 wins and the Eagles are at 6 wins, they lose because the Eagles have a tie. So this is a tough situation, but they are a dark horse because they probably have the easiest schedule. Then you get the Eagles. They have the Browns. They have the Seahawks. But they also have Washington. They also have Dallas. So if the Eagles can get to 5 wins, that might win the division. If they can just win the rest of their division games, that might wrap it up. They also have a good shot. I'm giving them a shot to beat the Browns if they can win that game, which they shouldn't be able to because the Browns are really running the football and they couldn't stop the Giants' rushing attack. But if they do, then they've got a great shot at the division. They've got by far the easiest path to the division. They don't have to win any of the difficult games. They've only got to win one. They can win one of these difficult games and then sweep the rest of their division games. They're in because they got a tie with Joe Burrow earlier on in the season. Moving on to Dallas, I'm writing them off. If they can't beat the Vikings this week, they're completely done. If the on switch doesn't flick on this week, then they're done. If it does, then things will start to get interesting. I say that because after they play the Vikings, they play Washington. If they flip that switch, Washington can't score with them. But they've got a horrible, horrible offensive line, and Washington is a bad matchup for them. But that being said, if they can beat the Vikings, then that means that they can beat Washington. If they can beat Washington, they might be able to beat the Eagles. So that adding on 3 wins to them gets them to 5 wins. If you add on another game they play against the Bengals, that can get them to 6. If you add on the 49ers, which is a winnable game, if they have their weapons going, that is a winnable game. That can get them to 6 or 7 wins. They by far may have the easiest schedule. So they only have the Ravens. That's the only team that really, across the league says that's a really great team. We need to stay away from them. But other than that, all their other games are winnable. And if they can win this week against the Vikings, then they have my attention. If not, then they're done. So lastly, I'm going to pull up the Giants schedule. And this is the team that has been playing the best football the past month of the season. They've been getting better every week. They're playing by far the best football in the division, in my opinion, at this point. But it's not going to be an easy thing to win this division. They've got the Bengals, who a lot of people are just writing off. A lot of people are saying we should win that game easily, which the way our offensive and defensive lines have been playing against the Bengals' offensive and defensive lines, we should be able to win that game in the trenches. But Joe Burrow has a lot of weapons, and he can put up some points. So you cannot count that team out. We've got the Seahawks. That's self-explanatory. The Cardinals, listen, they've had some close games. They've had some games where they've laid eggs. But Kyler Murray is playing out of his mind. So that's not a gimme game we're going to be underdogs in that game. Unless we pull off a win against the Seahawks, we're going to be real underdogs in that game. Leading on to the Browns, they're running the air out of the ball. That's not an easy win. They've got Myles Garrett. We don't know if Daniel Jones has really solved these turnover problems. Having somebody like Myles Garrett coming off the edge scares you. And then you got the Ravens, self-explanatory. It'll be interesting to see what Patrick Graham can do against Kyler Murray, which will kind of give me a better idea of what he can do against Lamar Jackson. They're a little different, but quarterbacks that are that athletic, it'll pretty much show you what we can do against Baltimore. I think their defense can be had. I think their offense can be limited, but just Lamar Jackson being there, it changes things. And then lastly, we got the Cowboys, which I think is by far our easiest game on the schedule so far. If you're a Giants fan, you're hoping that we can get to 5 or 6 wins. The thing is, the Eagles have pretty much 2 gimme games and they're already at 3 wins. So 5 wins, I don't think it's going to do it. 5 wins, they win because they had a tie. 6 wins, if they get to 6 wins too, they win because they had a tie. Now, all they have to do is pick one of these games against the pretty tougher teams in the league. All it takes is a couple turnovers, a couple wrong bounces, and the Eagles are at 6 wins and they win the division. The Giants they cannot have any letdowns. They have to beat the Bengals, they have to beat the Cowboys, and they have to steal one of these other games. So that's against the Browns or the Cardinals I'm looking at, which is the most likely for them to steal. They've got to do that to get to 6 wins. And then even still, if the Eagles can just win their 2 division games against 2 of the worst teams in the league, and then win 1 more game, 6 wins still doesn't do it. So if the Giants can go 3-3, that may not do it. So for the Giants to really guarantee winning this division, they have to go 7-9. Because I don't see the Eagles getting to 7-9, and Cowboys, Bengals should be wins. Seahawks, Russ has been turning the ball over, but I just don't expect him to be playing like that many games in a row. I don't expect him to lose to the Giants. Kyler Murray, we'll see. We'll see. We don't know how they'll be playing at that point, but I don't see that as an easy game by any stretch, and the Browns. So if the Giants want to guarantee a playoff spot, they've got to beat the Bengals, Cardinals, Browns, and Cowboys. If they can switch those games out for the Ravens or Seahawks, fine. But the Giants must go 7-9 if they have any shot in winning this division. So if you made it this deep into the video, definitely hit that subscribe button. I make Giants content, NFL content, so all NFL fans are welcome here. And until next time, it's Diggy546, and I'm out.